Well, the circus has moved to Melbourne. Day one of the Inglis Premier Sale is pretty much done and dusted. And once again, the average is up. Once again, the median is up. It's not been as rampant as we saw at the Magic Millions and the Sydney Classic, but it's still a very, very strong market. I'm joined by two men who have plenty to celebrate over the last couple of days. Sam Freeman, trainer of Blue Diamond winner Daumier, has come to reinvest some of that Daumier dough here at the Oakland Sales Complex. And Dave Kobritz is celebrating a very successful first day of selling, highlighted by a lovely Dundeels colt.
Yep, thank you, Gus. It was a great thrill. He's been a wonderful colt from the day he was born, from a very special family, and just got better and better. And yeah, he was very popular, had over 200 parades.
200?
Yeah, which is a hell of a lot, and 22 odd X-ray hits. But as I keep reminding my farm manager, that what happens out there in inspections doesn't necessarily correlate to the ring, but in this case it did. So
what do you see, what happens up here with the horse? When a horse is brought out that many times, can they crumble?
Oh, sure, definitely.
Yeah.
And this horse has just got a fantastic temperament. And he just walked out, head down every day, and was very good. So and others, you know, that might have had 100 inspections, get very tired by
inspection 6. Yeah. I suppose as a trainer, Sam, it's nice to know a horse has the mental fortitude, because that's the other unmeasurable element, isn't it, when you're looking at a future athlete, how the horse stands up to it. Is that something you're looking at right as they go into the ring all the way through the process?
100%. I mean, you do have to be forgiving, obviously, of a horse like David's that has had so many parades, and you know, you get that information knowing he's a popular horse. You know that he's probably sick of coming in and out of his box every 5 minutes, so you do have to factor that in. But I think particularly maybe with the Dundeels breed, that they can be a little bit hot at times, and the ones that have a good temperament tend to take themselves a long way. I mean, we've been fortunate to have some nice Dundeels in the stable that go the right way with their temperaments, and having looked at David's, he was a gem to look at out there. He was very quiet when he was parading for us, and unfortunately we don't have the money to spend time, but he was a nice horse and he was very well behaved.
You just won a Group 1.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kidding.
Get Vin Cox to get the moss out of his purse. I mean, come on, seriously. You know, every time you get a Godolphin horse, you win a Blue Diamond with it. That Dundeels could have been the next one. It's absolutely crazy. Now, you mentioned Dundeels. You guys have are involved in a Dundeels together. That's something of an amazing story. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah, it is. It's truly is amazing. I mean, it's tragic and amazing at the same time. We sort of looked after him in the 3-year-old season of his spring, and you know, we didn't run him in a derby. We ran him in an 1800 metre race on Cup Day, which he duly won, which we're very
This is
happy
Ain't
with.
No Deal Done.
Sorry, yeah, Ain't No Deal Done.
Yeah.
And we really massaged him through the whole early part of his career to try and develop him into an autumn 3-year-old and 4-year-old, and a box accident. We were up at Magic Millions and got a call early on Sunday morning.
Yeah. I'll never forget Anthony's face as he was walking towards us up there, because it was glum.
Oh, really? By his own standards.
You get emotion out of him.
Something's happened. Either something amazing or horrific.
Yeah.
So talk me through what happened with Ain't No Deal Done.
He was in a box, probably the safest box in the stable, to be honest, for a reason, because we thought he was probably the most promising horse, and it was sort of a rubber box. He's a colt, so he couldn't see anything else. It was sort of very protected, and he stuffed around as colts can do, and he sort of reared up, landed on his hind quarter, and all his weight's gone under his pelvis, and he's fractured his pelvis, so basically completely broken it off a piece, and he was fracture lame, could barely walk for a very long time. He essentially spent 4 or 5 months in a box with not leaving his box. Still as a colt, we were keen to attempt to keep him as a colt. Yeah. Which
and he stood up to it.
Yeah. It actually speaks volumes of his attitude, which he's been unbelievable to get through the whole process. And touch wood, he's coming along well. He's had 3 trials. He's nearly ready to run. So
he's back.
He's back, hopefully.
What an extraordinary
miracles happen.
Yeah, my gosh. And I mean, Sam's walked us through the process, but in terms of being an owner and somebody who has an interest in continuing to race horses as well as sell them, we're at a horse sale after all. What was the process? I mean, it must have been a real roller coaster of emotion for you the whole journey, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, after we got the news and the vet reports and whatever from the stable, we were devastated like everyone and expected that's the end of it, you know. Find a nice home for him and that was it. But you know, it's hard to find a good horse, and he won 3 in a row, and was a very, very promising horse. And Sam and Anthony, we were headed for the Derby that year, and I think Sam and Anthony said this horse is probably maybe too brilliant, and look after him, and he could make a really serious horse, you know, as an autumn 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. So obviously the expectations are up there, and you got, as an owner, you always, you know, you're living the dream. You want to look forward to a top class horse. I mean, I'm happy to win a maiden anywhere, but when you get a horse at that level, it's something else altogether.
I mean, the other element to it is probably the Hong Kong offers that came through for the whole. Yeah, and to all the owners' credit, we were very transparent in saying, you know, it's a lot of money to be offered.
Yes.
And the opinion we had of the horse was that he was obviously top class 3-year-old, and the owners backed us in and turned down the offers, and so you look after the horse to get in there, and then this sort of thing happens not long after. It's there's that element to it as well, which is you know, hard to swallow. But
it's, I mean, look, that's just one example of the panoply of things that can happen to an animal after they leave somewhere like Oakland's Junction. Obviously a brilliant horse, and glad that it's headed back to the races after all. Let's talk about Domier. Who was in better shape this morning, the colt or the co-trainer?
The colt pulled up a lot better than the co-trainer, that's for sure. He was bouncing out of his skin this morning, and the co-trainer certainly
melting out of his skin
for himself for most of the day. But he's a special horse. He's shown very good ability from day one. Probably haven't always thought he's an up and going 2-year-old. I think that's probably been the story of a lot of probably the success we've had, that they're not just jump and run speed horses. They're generally horses that come from off the speed and run them down. But look, we're fortunate to get the support of so many good owners, including David, and you get the stock in the stable to be able to filter through and try and work out which ones are the ones for the right race. And thankfully, he was the one this year.
Well, yeah, you have your big owners like David, and then the battlers like Sheikh Mohammed, obviously, that you also
you got help quite right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's that in that order. I'm not quite sure. David, tell me, you were telling me before we went on air that you keep a leg in a lot of the horses that you put through the ring. Is that a choice you make, or is that an evolution of the relationships you've developed with the buyers and trainers in the industry?
I think it's both. I mean, I love racing horses, and we we've been developing the farm now over the last 10 years, but more so in the last, I guess, 3 or 4 years. We've had the help of Boomer, Craig Rosenfeld, and he came to the farm a few years ago and said, I've got good news and bad news. You've got 36 odd mares, and if you want to play this breeding game seriously, about a third are worth keeping, and the other 2/3 show them the gate, shut your eyes and move them on. And you're far better off with 10 or 15 high quality mares, because there's a very long tail there. So we've now put that into practice, and we've bought some very nice mares in the last 2 or 3 years, and one of them was personalised, the dam of the Dundeels, and she bought her in foal to Spirit of Boom. We sold the Spirit of Boom to Tony Golan last year, and spiritualised. He's had 2 starts for 2 seconds, and he's put him away for the winter. This fella's the second. Got a personalised, and we've got a Zoo Star filly on the ground that Scott, my manager, tells me you're not selling it. She's the best of the lot.
The best of the lot, but make one available. I mean, that family is insane. There is not a member of that family that hasn't been a good sort. Your family was involved in Time Thief before Sheikh Mohammed tightened the belt, and you couldn't go to $2 million for yearlings to be trained by the Freeman family. And he was one of the nicest yearlings I've ever seen, and obviously very talented. That whole Procrastinate family is terrific, and the fact that you've been able to get into it, and you were out of the mare before this yearling went through the ring, which is terrific.
And the other amazing thing is that year 2019 we wanted 2 noms to Dundeels and we could only get 1, and it was the year the tragic accident of Ty Anglin. Yes. And a number of studs donated service fees at the Gold Coast mid-year sale, and I told Scott and Craig, let's have a crack at the Dundeels, and they bought the nom, and this colt here's the result. So it was a great result both ways. For
terrific story.
Donating to the Ty Anglin Foundation and having a great result with this colt.
And Jess Owers did a piece on that colt leading into the sale. Make sure you go back into the TDN Oz NZ archives and check it out, because it is terrific. Now, I'm mindful of both of your time, Sam. You've got to go and do evening feeds and muck out boxes and all sorts of stuff. And David, you're going to sink a few more of these in celebration.
I've got to go and see my grandkids.
There you go. So buy them a Nintendo Switch or something. Like, seriously, I think Grandpa can spring for a little surprise for the grandkids. Before I let you go, just from both of you, general impressions of the sale. We're in day 1. I said off the top, once again we're up in average and median and robust market. I'll start with the buyer. Is it as hard as the Magic Millions, or have you found it a little bit easier going?
It's been, I think, from the trainer's perspective, it's a more viable sale for a trainer. Certainly, Melbourne. We always like to target this sale as a sale to get a lot of value from, and it's felt that way. That you can buy a nice horse for not a whole lot of money. You go to Magic Millions, and I mean the market is strong. It's the first sale of the season, and it's hard to get a look in on a lot of the horses. Here you can do a bit more due diligence. We're sort of fortunate. We're obviously based in Victoria. You can get a bit of insight into some of the farms and how the yearlings have done, and how they've progressed through the yearling preps. So today it's felt strong. Obviously, I mean the whole sale season's been very strong. But certainly from a trainer's perspective, I think a lot of trainers are getting on the board, today, and I think that's a positive, because a lot have missed out. Certainly a Classic and Magic Millions. We've bought a few, but we've missed on a lot, and we're still looking to sort of restock a few, and thankfully, hopefully this sale in the next couple of days we can pick up a couple more. And look, let's be honest, Kieran Marr can't have the entire foal crop, So some people have to have a few. Seller's perspective, is there a temptation when the market's so buoyant to lift your reserves and go a bit crazy? Have you been realistic?
Our policy's always been put a low reserve and let the market dictate. We're here to sell, and sometimes you meet your low reserve and no more, and sometimes you get overs. And at the end of the day, as a vendor, it's not the price of the individual horse, it's the total that we sell for. And so Magic Millions, we got some great results. We also got a few disappointing results. But overall, we exceeded our budget by about 30%. So happy.
Wow, when you're outpacing the market budget-wise, that's a good sign. Well, guys, great weekend for both of you. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us at the Yarn Barn for a yarn with Gus, and good luck on days 2 and 3.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Well done. Let's do a photo.